So first things first, I guess, I do need the list of the people that we're doing this in memory of. That happens to be tonight also is the yahrzeit of my wife's grandfather, Chaim Yehuda ben Sultan Halevi. B'ezras Hashem, we're also going to do this in memory of Israel ben Menachem Tzvi, who I was privileged to know him. He was a Holocaust survivor. I went to visit him a couple of times. He was a special neshama. Went through the Holocaust. Don't have to tell anybody about the atrocities that people went through there. And he had a simchat ha'chaim. He had a happiness and a joy in his life that was matched by not many people, especially considering the circumstances of his life. And we're also going to do this. God willing, the shiur will be in memory of. Apologize. In memory of Yafa bat Avega and Nechama bat Rivka. As well, she ben leibadel ben Chaim, also for refuah shlema, for the complete recovery of Batya Miriam bat Dolores Reizel, and also Oz ben Michal, Gabriela bat Sarah, Chaya Dorit bat Geula, Chana bat Sarah, and Haneni Ona bat Chen Chana, B'ezras Hashem. So I'm very honored to be here. I've heard a lot about this program, and I'll be honest with you, I was thinking this morning, I was sitting down, trying to jot down things, different things, different ideas. So, I'm not getting royalties for this, but it happens to be. I jotted down a subject matter for tonight, B'ezras Hashem, of helping others. That's what I wrote on my paper. And it happens to be, I davened early, I prayed early in the synagogue, I sat down, there was a gentleman next to me from Mexico actually, and he was looking in this book, he was studying from this book. I'm not getting royalties here, Letters for Life. And I caught it on the side of my eye, and the title of the article he was looking at was Be There for Others, as I'm thinking about what I'm going to speak about tonight. So hopefully this is a sign from above, and hopefully we can learn something together. So what I'm going to speak about tonight is, let's start with, obviously we're right now in the midst of the two parashiyot. The parasha last week was Parashat Noach. Told us the story of Noach, and the Torah speaks highly of Noach. There's not many people the Torah describes as a righteous and completely righteous person. That's what the Torah describes Noach. Each tzaddik tamim ha'eved orotav, in his generations. Completely righteous. Right? And still, the Gemara speaks about this, that what does that mean in his generations? The Gemara says there's a machloket. Is it considered, would he have been in the generation of Avraham Avinu, would he be considered still such a righteous person? Or no? If he was so righteous in such a generation with wicked people, in the generation of Avraham Avinu, he would shine even more. But specifically, the comparison is between Noach and Avraham. And again, I want to just preface this, that we're speaking about, obviously, the fathers of our nation that we come from. So we have to be extra careful when we speak about them. We are meant to take lessons from them, but any faults that we see, understand, perceive, those have to be taken, considered very heavily and carefully, because again, we're going to try to take lessons from who they were, and those lessons are applicable to our life. There's actually a principle that's brought down in the books of Chassidut, that anything that's brought closer to the beginning of the Torah is actually much more applicable to us, to our lives. Just like any building that you build, the entire building is standing on the yesodot, on the foundation. So something that's closer to the beginning of the Torah is more applicable and more of a foundation for us for the rest of our lives, not just us, for all generations. Anyways, so the Torah describes Noach as an each tzaddik tamim, a righteous, completely righteous person, but again in his generations. But compared to the generation of Avraham Avinu, he would not be considered much. That's what seems to be, that's what the machlok is. It's brought down in the Gemara, in Masechet Chulin, in Tractate Chulin. The question is, why specifically Avraham Avinu? Why specifically Avraham Avinu? So there's a midrash that says that when the rain started, the flood was just beginning. Noach started praying. And it's like Hashem turned to him and said, if you would have prayed before this whole terrible decree happened, the decree of basically a restart on the entire creation, if you would have taken the time to pray beforehand, then maybe we could have salvaged the creation. We could have helped people. But Noach on some level was completely righteous, but he was in his own realm, in his own bubble, so-called bubble. Whereas Avraham Avinu always went out of his way to help others, to be there for others. That's what the parasha describes Avraham and Sarah. It says, "V'et nefesh asher asu b'Charan." The people, the nefesh, the neshamot that they made in Haran when they left. But anyways, meaning they gave of themselves for others. They always did. And that's what it says specifically, that Avraham, that's what Noach is compared to Avraham, because Noach did for himself, but he was not able to save everyone else. He saved his immediate family, got them into the Teva. But his immediate, that was it. Not the entire generation. Anyways, we are called the children of Avraham Avinu because this needs to be our essence. Our essence is that we need to do for others. We need to be there not only for ourselves, but for others. The other nations are called the Bnei Noach, children of Noach. They could choose or not choose to do for others. But we are called the children of Avraham Avinu because that's our essence. It says, the Gemara actually says in Masechet Sotah, the one of Masechet Sotah says like this: you shall Achrei Hashem Elokechem telechu. You should go after Hashem Elokechem, Hashem your God. So the Gemara says, how is it possible to go after God? First of all, God is not an entity. It's not an entity. But it says like this. Not only that, it says Hashem Elokecha is Esh Ochela. It's a consuming fire. That's fire is the closest thing to the spirituality that we have, maybe a little bit of an understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it says no, it means don't follow after Hashem, but follow after His traits. What are His supposed character traits? It says like this. It says, Halecha milutav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same way Hashem clothed people that were naked, Adam and Eve did not have any clothing, Hashem clothed them. You also take people that don't have, and you clothe them. It says HaKadosh Baruch Hu visited sick people. Like it says He went to visit Avraham Avinu when he's not feeling well. You also go visit sick people. It says HaKadosh Baruch Hu consoled people that were sitting, that were mourning. Lo Aleinu, Avraham Avinu was sitting and mourning for Sarah Imenu. It says Hashem went and visited him. Also He visited Yitzchak when Avraham Avinu passed away. It says Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu. You also take care of burial. So what's the common denominator to all these mitzvot which happen to be listed in the Gemara? There's two types of mitzvot that we have in the Torah. Two types of commandments. Some are classified as ben adam lamakom, between us and Hashem, us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And some are between man, a woman, and her, and his co-person. Interpersonal relationships. All these mitzvot. Taking care, going out of your way to clothe other people, to feed other people, to do chesed, to do kindness unto other people. Those are all between man and his friend. And those are the mitzvot, says that's how you emulate Hashem. And that's a crucial part of our being. That's a crucial part of our being. It says actually, the Gemara here says that not only the Torah begins with kindness, that Hashem clothed Adam and Eve, and ends with kindness, that Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu. But The Nefesh HaChaim says, there's a book called Nefesh HaChaim. He was a student of the Vilna Gaon, the genius of all geniuses. He really the father of all the yeshivot that we know as today. The Torah institutions that we know today come from the yeshiva of Volozhin in Europe. And the yeshiva of Volozhin was led by Rabbi Chaim Volozhin. He was a student of the Vilna Gaon. And he said like this. This is in the introduction to a sefer that's called Nefesh HaChaim. It's a book. It's a holy book that describes how precious every soul is. How precious is every single Jew. And he says like this in the introduction. His son writes this introduction. He says his father used to reprove him numerous times that when he did not share in the sorrow of another person. And he says, and this is what he used to say to me always, that the essence of a person is not for his own sake. A person was created not for himself, but he was created to help others as much as he could. As much as he could, all that in his power to do, that's what he needs to do for other people. This is the essence of a person. Why is it so crucial? Why is it so necessary? So there's a Gemara, there's a famous question actually that's been asked numerous times. It's actually Haman, the evil Haman, when he went to Achashverosh to convince him to eradicate the Jewish nation, erase them. So one of the things he said to Achashverosh, one of the things he said to him, he said, this nation does not even consider us human. We're subhuman in their eyes. Haman knew a lot of Torah. A lot of it was because he used to be a servant to Mordechai. He used to be a servant to Mordechai the Jew. And he said there is a Gemara that says like this. The Gemara says, Atem kuim Adam. You are called Adam. Ve'en umot ha'olam kuim Adam. But the nations of the world are not called Adam. So he said, you see that we are subhuman in their eyes. They're not even worth it to keep around. Just erase them, wipe them off the face of the earth. It will be better without the Jews. And this is a question that was asked to a rabbi many years ago by a non-Jewish king. He said, are we subhuman in your eyes? So the rabbi answered him like this. He said specifically, the Gemara says, Atem kuim Adam. You are called Adam. What does that mean? So he said to him like this. He said, being a Jew, says, if there's another Jewish person on the other side of the world that is suffering, it pains me, it hurts me. Unfortunately, we see so many times our nation has come so close together and we came bonded to each other, and we bound together in times of trouble. It says, if a Jew is somewhere at the other end of the world and he's suffering, it hurts me. I feel his pain. That means Atem kuim Adam. So he asked him, he said to him, whatever nation he came from, he said, if a person from your nation is on the other side of the world and he's having a hard time, he says, would that bother you? Somebody died, somebody had pain, somebody got sick. It wouldn't bother you. So he said, that's what it means, Atem kuim Adam. You are called person because you are one entity. The reality of the Jewish nation is that we are one entity. We are one being. And therefore it's crucial. It's crucial. Not only is it crucial, but when a person helps another person, when you help someone else, you're actually helping yourself. You're elevating yourself. You're elevating your entire nation. When you come forth and help someone else, you're actually helping. You're helping yourself. You're helping the entire nation elevate it completely. So, famous story. They just spoke Hashem last week. We had the Yortzeit, the Yom HaPtira of Rav Ovadia Yosef, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha. And they say specifically about him, when he used to come and tell him about a soldier that passed away, he would cry. He would cry so hard. He would cry like it was his own son. He would bawl his eyes out. Why? Because he felt the pain that of another person. I actually had the merit to meet someone who was quite holy. He was actually a psychologist. His name was Rabbi Yaakov Greenwald, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. And he, in the summers, used to visit the mansions of Yeshiva, of Yehuda Zev Segal. So he told me a story. He said, I saw this, he told me I saw it with my own eyes. One summer he was in Manchester, with the Manchester Rosh Hashiva. And it was right before Shabbat. He told me I was preparing candles for candle lighting. He used to be there to help him, he was mishamesh, he was, helping him out, whatever he needed. As they were preparing to light Shabbat candles, they got a phone call from the United States. They didn't know what he should do. Should I answer the phone? Should I not answer the phone? He turned to the Rosh Hashiva, Manchester Rosh Hashiva, of Yehuda Zasegel, and he told him, if the phone call is coming so close to Shabbat, it must be important. Go answer the phone. So he answered the phone. It was a phone call from the United States, and they told him there was a Jew that was hit by a car. I think it was a truck even that hit him. And he was in a coma, and they wanted to give the name of this person, the Rosh Hashiva. He should pray for his full recovery. So they gave him the name. So he said they went, they prayed mincha, they made Kabbalat Shabbat, they accepted Shabbat among themselves. And he said when after mincha, when he looked at the place where the Rosh Hashiva prayed, it says the whole place was soaking wet from the tears of the Rosh Hashiva. He was crying like it was his own son. He was crying endlessly for this person. Said Shabbat went quietly, no mention of it. Said Motzei Shabbat, the Rosh Hashiva turned to Rabbi Avraham and said, and they made Abdallah. Right after Abdallah, he said, "No, how is our friend doing?" He didn't want to have any sorrow on Shabbat. I guess he tried to. I'm sure he had it in mind, but anyways, how's our friend doing? And Avraham told me, he said he knew if I don't find out how our friend is doing, the Rosh Hashiva is not going to be able to sleep. So he started making phone calls. He called from England, he called the United States, trying to find out, was there a person that ended up in your hospital? They got hit by a car by any chance? Is there anybody that was, he called numerous hospitals, and someone told him there's another hospital somewhere upstate New York, somewhat of a private hospital, maybe try to call there. He called there, and they told him, yes, there was a person, but how's he doing? He's in stable condition. He said, oh, thank God. He turned to Rosh Hashiva, he said, our friend is in stable condition. And what did Rosh Hashiva say? He said, Baruch Hashem, now I can go to sleep. But that was the essence of the Gedolei Yisrael, the big rabbis. They felt the pain of others. They felt when someone would come and tell them, let them know they're having a difficult time, whether it was with livelihood, with children, with zivugim, with whatever it was. They shared that person's pain. But this is in essence who we are. This is who we are, and this is who we need to be. This is how we need to act with each other. When the Jewish nation is united, when we live up to this Atem Goyim Adam, you are called Adam, you are one entity, there's nothing that could stop us. And you could see that even the Arabs, the Hamas that attacked us on that terrible day on October 7th, 2023, when they attacked us, what did they look for? They looked for a break. They looked for division in the nation. They looked for hatred. And when they saw that there was hatred, and they realized that this is the time. Now we could try to get them. So, I want to learn with you, again, another Gemara, also in the same tractate in Sotah, that speaks about the benefit of looking out for someone else. It's actually a bit of a scary Gemara. What I mean scary is because we're speaking about obviously people that are greater than life, greater than us. So the Gemara says like this. So the 12 tribes, children of Yaakov Avinu, were blessed 2 times. Yaakov, one of our forefathers, blessed his children before he passed away. And the second time, Moshe Rabbeinu blessed each and every tribe. So in the blessing of Moshe Rabbeinu, there's something that's interesting that the Gemara discusses. The Talmud discusses this. So it says like this. So usually, that Yaakov Avinu also went in chronological order when he blessed the tribes. But Moshe Rabbeinu somewhat skips. So the Gemara says there's a reason for his skip. Listen to this Gemara. The Talmud says like this. It says, what does it say? Yechi Reuven ve'al yamut. Reuven should live and not die. What does that mean? He should live and not die. So it says in Reuven, this is again a concept that's a bit hard to understand. When Rachel Imenu, when Rachel passed away, the wife of Yaakov Avinu, then the bed, the more permanent residence, the permanent place for the bed of Yaakov Avinu was in the tent of Bilhah. And Reuven was the son of Leah, one of the other mothers. Felt it's not honorable for my mother that the bed should be in the tent of Bilhah and not in my mother's tent. So he went and he moved the bed. And because of this, there was something terrible. The Torah speaks about it in very, very terrible terms. And so it says like this. So Yaakov our father, said basically that he still blessed him. When time came, actually Moshe Rabbeinu blessed him also. He said, Yechi Reuven aleinu, he shall live and not die. And then it says right away, Vezot leYehuda. And this should be unto Yehuda. He skipped two of the children. Because after Reuven, there's Shimon and Levi also. Why did he go directly to Yehuda? Says the Gemara like this. It says, all those years that Bnei Yisrael were in the desert, when the Bnei Yisrael came out of the desert, Yosef, one of the tribes, made them promise that when they come out of Egypt, take my bones, my remains, and bury me in Israel with all of you as well, with all the other brothers. It says, all those years in the desert, there were 40 years in the desert. It says, the bones of Yehuda were rolled up in the coffin. Whatever that means. I mean, we know already there are some tzaddikim, even nowadays. I think it was not too long ago, there was a story about a young lady that wanted to move her father's burial place. They wanted to move him for whatever reason. Sometimes they want to take him for proper burial in Israel. They buried him outside of Israel. It's happened a lot in Corona as well. People got buried outside, got buried here in the States, and then they were transferred to Israel. So this person was buried for quite a few years. And they went to move the burial place of this person. And they saw that his body was still intact. His body did not rot, not even the least bit. They were able to move it intact, even though it was years in the ground. So here to say about Yehuda, who was one of the tribes, that the bones were somehow not, the skeleton was not complete in the coffin, it's quite difficult to say, but that's what the Gemara says. It says the skeleton was not complete. Why? Because when Yehuda, when he went to his father, to Yaakov, to tell him, look, allow me to take Binyamin, let's go to Egypt, we have to go get sustenance for us, we're not going to survive here, because there was a famine in Israel, we're not going to survive. Allow me to go, let me take Benjamin, and I promise you, it says, V'chatati la'avi kol hayamin. If I don't bring him back to you, I will send to you all the days. What does that mean, all the days? It says Yehuda put quite a few things on the line. It says he put on the line this world and the world to come as well. Even though Benjamin was brought back and Yaakov Avinu got to see him, it says, but the Gemara says that Kilat Chacham, a curse of a rabbi, of a Chacham, afilu al tnai, even though it's a conditional thing, it's possible because the words of a Chacham has power. So when he cursed himself. He says, Chatati lavi kol hayamim. He ostracized himself. And that's why this actually took effect, and that's why his skeleton was not complete. That's what it says here in the Talmud. Until Moshe Rabbeinu came and prayed on his behalf. It says Moshe Rabbeinu said, Shema Hashem kol Yehuda. Listen to the voice of Yehuda. I apologize. No, it says why? It says he prayed. Shema Hashem kol Yehuda. Listen to his voice. It says his skeleton somehow straightened up and all his became complete. But it says even though his skeleton became complete, but still they did not allow him to go to Yeshiva Shel Mala. Metifta Derkiya. There's something called whatever is it, a place in heaven in Gan Eden. where all the tzaddikim come and rejoice in Torah. They did not allow him to go to this place. Until Moshe Rabbeinu said, it says, Ve'el amoti b'enu, you bring him to his nation. It's still, he was not able to learn properly. So it says, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Yadav Rav lo, he should be able to learn properly. It says still, the rabbis there, the tzaddikim in the heavens, they said they were not accepting what he was saying. Ve'ezah mitzarav tiyeh, should help him for the people that are coming to trouble him. This you're talking about Yehuda, one of the holiest persons. We are all called Yehudim, Jews, because of Yehuda. But what was Moshe Rabbeinu's claim that he was able to help Yehuda to actually take him out of this status of being ostracized, being put away, set aside from the Jewish nation? He said like this, and that's the reason the two blessings for Reuven and Yehuda follow each other. He said, who made Reuven admit to this so-called sin of moving his father's bed? Yehuda. Because Yehuda had a story. This is again quite a complicated story, but Yehuda had two children. The first one was married to a tzaddik, a righteous lady named Tamar, and it said he did terrible things and he died. And his other son came and did a mitzvah called Yibum. And he married his dead brother's wife, and he passed away as well. Yehuda didn't know what to do. There was a third son. He said, this lady might kill out all my children. Anyways, when he ended up getting married to her, and he had two children, which are called Peretz and Zerach, which are actually the grandparents of David HaMelech, of grandparents of Mashiach. But when she was being taken out, that's what the Torah describes. She was being taken out because she was suspected to have committed adultery. And Yehuda said, you should burn her at the stake. And it said, she presented three things that Yehuda gave her when he was with her. And at that point, Yehuda saw these things. He said, Tzadka mi beni. She's righteous, and those are my things, those are my children. At that point, everything was on the line. The Davidic dynasty was on the line. Even Mashiach was on the line. Everything was on the line. And with Yehuda, with this mission, saved her and saved himself. But the Talmud here says that all of that was not enough. All of that was not enough. His admission, the Davidic dynasty, the coming of Mashiach was not enough. The only reason Moshe Rabbeinu was able to pray on his behalf and save him from this status of being ostracized is only because he helped Reuven admit. Because his admission made Reuven also follow and say, yes, I moved my father's bed from the tent of Bilhah to the tent of Leah, of my mother. Because he helped Reuven admit, because of that, Hashem, the same way you forgave Reuven, you should forgive Yehuda as well. And that's when this whole process started, of actually bringing him out of the status of being ostracized, which is a very powerful thing. It's an incredible thing if you think about it. Yehuda saved the Davidic dynasty, saved Mashiach, and all that was not enough. What was his merit? What was the merit that he used in order to bring him to this, out of this supposed status? Is the fact that he helped his brother. He helped Reuven also. Because this is our essence. This is our essence is we all need to be people that help each other. It's in our blood, it's in our genes, it's a necessity. This is what makes us Jews. And when we are together, then nothing can stop us. I want to tell you something else. Even with the story with Yehuda did not realize he was not helping Reuven directly with his admission. But it came out that when he helped Reuven with his admission, 40 years later, he's going to be able to come out of this status. That means, there's a verse that says, Gomel nafsho ish chassid. A person does chesed unto his nefesh, unto his own. When you do chesed, many, many times you think you're doing it for someone else. The beneficiary is really you. You see this over here. When Yehuda helped, when he made the admission and Reuven made also his admission, Moshe Rabbeinu was able to use that to bring Yehuda out of this status. I want to tell you a story. It was I went to be a friend of mine was sitting shiva. His father passed away. He was in the middle of the shiva. He's a doctor in Muncie, and he told me that when he first went to school in the Bronx, he was working for a hospital there. He was, I think, in Montefiore in the Bronx, and he told me that he was looking for houses there. He went around looking at different houses, and he was thinking to buy a house there next to the hospital where he was practicing. So his father came along. His father is they're Bukharian, so usually they're a bit stronger. So the father came along. He said, "I need you to give me a few minutes." His father walked outside, and he went around to a few houses. He said, "I walked around a few houses. There's only 2 or 3 mezuzot on the doors here. There's not enough Jews. You're not buying a house here. Not buying a house here." But you know what? He listened to his father. Says eventually he went to Muncie, to upstate New York, and then called his father again. His father went around this time. He said, "This place has more potential. I saw 7, 8 mezuzot. There's more Jews here. You can come live here. I allow you to come live here." Anyways, he went and he bought a house there. And this is what he told me during the Shiva. Look how everything that I'm doing here, the fact that I'm here in a religious area is because of my father. He was telling me the greatness of his father. I told him a little bit different. So his father thought he was doing a kindness unto you, right? He told you, he didn't allow you supposedly, right, to go live in the Bronx, and he told you to live in a more religious area. But in doing that, what did your father do? He assured that when he passes away, his son is going to be next to a congregation and he will be able to say Kaddish and be able to pray on behalf of his father's soul. So, seemingly he was doing the chesed, the kindness unto himself, but who was the direct beneficiary of this kindness? His father. That's what it means. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. So, why is it so necessary? A few months ago, actually, someone asked me. We were in Hollywood. There was in a congregation in Hollywood, and they asked me, Rabbi, what's more important, loving Hashem or loving your fellow Jew? What would you say? What's more important? Huh? So let me read you. I want to read you something from Sefer HaChinuch. Sefer HaChinuch is a book that actually lineates all the mitzvot according to the order of the parasha. So the mitzvah of Kibud Av Va'em, honoring your parents. Listen to this. It says from the roots of this mitzvah that a person should recognize and do kindness unto someone that has done kindness with you. Should not be someone who doesn't recognize the good and someone who doesn't recognize the good or ignores it, right? That's a bad character trait before Hashem and before people. Nobody likes a person that doesn't see a good that you've done unto them. Not only that, they don't look at you well. A person should bring to his heart, because his father and his mother is the reason for his being in the world. And that's why you should really do as much honor and as much benefit you should bring to them, because they're the one that brought you up. They're the one who took care of you. And it says when a person sets this character trait in his heart, and then he will be able to recognize the goodness of Hashem, our God, Baruch Hu, that is his reason and the reason of all his fathers until Adam Rishon, until Adam and Eve. Because he brought you to the world and took care of you and gave you a complete and healthy body and gave you a mind that's nefesh yodatu maskelet. So anyways, it seems to be that the way I understood it here, right? That honoring your parents is practice. your practice on parents that you see and a little bit understand what they've done for you, that one day you're going to come to recognize the goodness that Hashem has bestowed upon you in your life. So you see that many times, and I think we can say this about all the mitzvot of Ben Adam L'Chaveru, mitzvot that we have between man and his fellow. They're practiced in order to help us realize what Hashem has done for us, what Hashem has done on our behalf. So you could say the same thing over here. There's ultimately the ultimate goal is for us to reach Ahavat Hashem. Like it says, Ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, we say Shema twice a day. But there's no other way to reach there, no other way to get there without loving every single Jew, without sharing in people's pain, sharing in people's. We shouldn't. The prophet says, Al ti kasus kapera, don't be like a horse, like a donkey that has his flaps on, he only sees what's in front of him. There's a famous story that I think there's a Khatam Sofer, it was one of the rabbis from about 300 years ago in Europe, that says that if someone comes to you for help, then it's not just he happened to come to you for help. It means you're obligated and you're able to help that person. So the rabbi, the name of the rabbi in Queens, he said over a story that he used to go to Russia before the fall of when it was still the Soviet Union, the Iron Curtain, and he used to go teach Torah there. Obviously, anybody that taught Torah there the KGB might come get you at night, but he went there in order to learn Torah. And one time there was a knock on his door. He was here in the States. He was in Queens, and someone came to him and said, "I need you to do me a favor. I heard you're going to Russia. I heard you're going to the Soviet Union. I need you to deliver a letter to the governor of a certain place." So he looked at him and said, "You want me to deliver a letter? I'm trying to hide the fact that I'm going there even. You want me to go to basically the lion's den, deliver a letter?" The guy said, "Please, if you could do it for me, it would mean a lot." Anyways, he thought about this, what he read in the name of the Khatam Sofer, that if someone comes to you for help, it must be you're able to help. He said, "You know what? I'm going to try." Anyways, he ended up and he went into this office, scared to death for his life, because obviously he's trying to hide the fact that he's teaching people Torah, which is treason, obviously, against the Soviet Union, against the Russian government. And he goes into this and he sees the secretary. He says, "What do you want?" And he says, I have something I have to give the governor. Would you be able to pass it along?" The lady first, she didn't want to take it. She took the letter, and then the governor came out with the letter. The rabbi said he didn't know what it said in the letter. The governor opened it up and looked at it, and he looked at it and he said, "Is this important for you, Rabbi?" So the rabbi said, he didn't know what it was. He said, "Yeah, it's important for me. If you could do it, I'll appreciate it." So he said, "Consider it done." That's the essence of a Jew, the essence of who we are, Be'ezrat Hashem. I want to give everyone here a blessing that we should be able to live up to this essence and be able to carry forth this giving. I'm assuming a few of you are not married, a few of you are married. Be'ezrat Hashem should find the right ones, the right mates for you, and should get married and be able to give truly in your marriage, give to your families, give to each other, because that's the essence of who we are. That's who we are as a nation. And when we are united, when we come together, nothing can beat us. I wish you all, Be'ezrat Hashem, beautiful, beautiful life, beautiful Be'ezrat Hashem. And continued blessings to everyone. Kol Tov.
Thank you so much, Rabbi. Guys, we're doing R&B right now. R&B, we have prayer books in the back. You want to grab a book?